Okay, thank you very much and good morning. My name is Scott Stringer, New York City Comptroller. I'm joined today with David Jones, the President and CEO of the Community Service Society, and Rebecca Ballin from the Riders Alliance. They represent two organizations that have literally been in the forefront of the Fair Fares campaign over many years. They have been the architects of this amazing effort. From my perspective, a Metro card should be an access pass to our city. But for over 800,000 New Yorkers living below the poverty line, the price of a Metro card has long been an obstacle. And it makes it hard for people who are going to a job interview or going to the pharmacy. Getting on that train for so many New Yorkers is a true financial burden. And when we take away that burden, we're not only helping those individuals, but we're actually helping the economy. And that's why advocates, community members, and elected officials have fought for years for lower price Metro cards. So when the Fair Fares program offering discount tickets got funding in this year's budget, low-income families won a landmark battle. Now 800,000 New Yorkers are waiting for the cheaper Metro cards they were promised, because this program was supposed to begin on January 1st. It was supposed to be the moment when people could sign up and get on that train, save some money, contribute to the economy, and make a difference for their families. We've asked for many days, where's the program? We've said to City Hall, when is this coming? What's the magnitude of what's coming? We have no answers. We have no transparency. They're holding $106 million of public money, and they have not yet rolled out this program. There's been no public discussion, no transparency. There hasn't been a billboard or poster to announce the program. This was supposed to be the game changer in the anti-poverty movement. Instead, it's starting to look like a mockery. Fair Fares is not fair because we have no program that meets the needs of 800,000 New Yorkers. Now, we need to go back and make sure this plan is successful. And as controller, my job is to account for the $106 million. And I have every intention of continuing to ask the questions to make sure that the hundreds of thousands of people who need this program are not stuck in a waiting time for yet another 6 months or another year. Part of the brilliance of the plan was that money would be appropriated and there would be a 6 months waiting period to develop the program. So it's not like the budget was approved and we said, let's start the program today. In fact, there has been a 6 months planning process. That planning process was to end on December 31st. The program was supposed to kick in January 1st. There was a handshake agreement between the city council and the mayor. Unfortunately, I think there was more self-congratulation. There was a ticker tape parade celebrating the program, but the ticker tape parade came before the World Series was won. And now we have to make sure that the people who are not left behind are the people that this program is supposed to serve. Struggling New Yorkers living below the poverty line, New Yorkers who are having trouble paying the rent, who literally can't afford to get on the train to go to a job interview or take care of their families. These are the people we are fighting for, and these are the folks that we promised that on January 1st, their lives would change and make things a little better. I'd now like to call up truly the leader in this fight, David Jones, somebody who's well known on so many anti-poverty initiatives it would take too long to mention, but he has been the leader in this struggle. Mr. Jones.
Well, thank you, Scott. Obviously, we had hoped this was going to be a day where we were celebrating an extraordinary victory for a more equitable city. And we're very depressed, and I've talked to some of my friends, that again we have to bring pressure to bear on City Hall to meet their commitment. This was what the City Council had come together under Corey Johnson to make a priority. That was a breakthrough for us. The mayor agreed. We all shook hands. It was a go. Here we are now, January 3rd, and still waiting. And this is an extraordinarily important program. It means as much as $750 a year per person for a poor family. That's almost a month's rent. That is going to make an extraordinary difference for people who are trying to get to work, to trying to go to school, to trying to take their children to a park on a weekend. These are very important things, particularly in the time of Trump, when the attacks on immigrants who make up so much of New York City are ripping these communities apart and making it difficult for them to live. This was going to be another program. If people met the criterion, no matter what the feds say, they could get a half-price fare too. So this is in the form of entreaty to the city of New York and to other people of goodwill that we have to implement this program. This is perhaps, other than earned income tax credit, one of the major benefits that could go to people who are struggling. And when I tell you struggling, that means a family of four earning only $24,000 a year. That's 800,000 people in this city who are working as childcare workers, who clean, every household, who help with home attendance, all sorts of the sinews of what makes New York great. So again, I want to thank the Comptroller and my allies in the Writers Alliance and so many others for making this happen. And we obviously have a ways to go, but we will make this succeed. Thank you.
Thank you, Dave. Thank you. Next up is somebody who I think organized every press event over the last many years and was usually over there making sure that we made our talking points. But Rebecca and the Writers Alliance has truly been at the forefront of this effort, and they have never stopped fighting for struggling New Yorkers. And this program is very much a part of what they do. So Rebecca, please come up and talk to us.
Thank you. Should I lower this?
Yeah.
Hi, hopefully you can see me. So I'm Rebecca Balin. I'm political director at the Writers Alliance. We organize subway and bus riders to fight for better and more affordable public transportation. And of course, I want to thank Comptroller Scott Stringer, not just for today's advocacy, but for his work throughout the past two plus years fighting for this program that we won, of course, with Community Service Society. Of course, we need to see it become a reality. Last June, just a few blocks away, we stood proudly with the mayor in celebration of this historic agreement to fund fair fares. And it reflects on that agreement reflects on what this progressive city can accomplish when we work together. And low-income New Yorkers who fought for this program are justifiably frustrated at the slow pace of this rollout. We are getting phone calls and emails from low-income New Yorkers who are excited about this program. We're so happy when it was agreed upon and eager to apply, and they don't know how to apply, and they're wondering, how do I get this discount? And I have nothing to tell them. I don't have anything to give them. I have no information for them, and that's not acceptable. So we've been asking for a well-timed rollout, and the city is telling people to call 311. And 311 is telling people to look for a letter in the mail months from now. That is unacceptable. We are standing out here at this early hour to call on the mayor to implement this broad rollout so as many New Yorkers as qualify for beneath poverty can access fair fares. Keep your promise and do it now. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And just to say what Rebecca mentioned, we really are appealing to City Hall to come to us today with a program that speaks to the agreement that was reached so that we can begin talking to New Yorkers about this. That's why we're here this morning. We want to make this a successful program. We want this to be the benefit we always hoped it would be. So with that said, any questions for any one of us?
How realistically could this program be possible?
Well, that's the $800,000 question, because 800,000 New Yorkers want very much to know what's happening. And right now, as was mentioned, you call 311, they kick you to 511. Then you call the Transit Authority, they don't know. You call City Hall, they don't even return your phone call. So we don't have these answers, and we're demanding them today because there's $106 million that the city put forth. That budget was adopted. I signed that budget, so I reviewed that budget, and I want to know exactly where that money is. That money should have been drawn down starting January 1st, and so there are real issues here. This is not money that we can just keep delaying. In fact, we have to make sure that there's even more money for next year's budget.
Scott, what exactly, can you describe what's happened in the last 7 months? Have there been meetings? Do they even seem close to launching this?
Well, listen, unfortunately, my view is that they can launch something that's minimal, because anyone can do the minimum. But this was a different kind of program. This was promised as an aspirational program, a program with national implications for 800,000 New Yorkers. And this ramp up does not happen by January 1st. It begs the question, what was everyone doing for the last 6 months? And I don't think very much, obviously. And listen, when the city wants to do something, they do it very well. The ID NYC program was launched for the world to see, and it has been very successful. Pre-K has been a tremendous success, in large part because the advertising and the full weight of the mayor was part of that program. So we want for Fair Fares what we successfully got for the ID program and for pre-K. We know this works when we invest time and energy and resources. So you have the resources. Now you need the will and the competence of structuring a program. We have not been called. I do not believe the kind of meetings that should be happening are happening, and we're very concerned, and that's why we're out here this morning. You know, with de Blasio, I'm always, I don't usually have to do that, but okay.
Who is tasked with creating this? Is it just the mayor exclusively? Did he need to work with the city council? Were people identified that were supposed to have been bringing this program together and creating the rollout? Is there accountability that we can look back on for this transparency?
Look, I think success has many authors. So this program, when adopted, certainly speaks to the priorities of the city council. I commended them for that. It speaks to the advocacy organizations like Riders Alliance, Community Service Society. It speaks to the mayor agreeing to do it. There were a lot of people at the table when the program was announced. When the victory lap was announced, everyone showed up. But then you have to launch the program. And somehow, no one's been at that table. And we need to find out why, and we need to have an understanding of what they're actually planning to do. If this is a small program for a limited number of people, then I want to get our money back. If the program is for the people it was promised for, then let's figure out how to implement the program. All right? Any questions, Freddie? Yes. Yes.
I did a story this morning about the situation on the Brooklyn Bridge in terms of, we were so crowded last weekend, it's a dangerous situation for people. There's some folks in Brooklyn that floating the idea of charging a fee for tourists to walk over the Brooklyn Bridge. $2 a person, because in all seriousness, it was dangerous, and they want to try to limit the amount of people.
That's a fair I'm not commenting on. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Thank you.